repeated pain, torture, and progression. My name's Dynasty, and welcome to
However, mean to tell you such a tale. Listen carefully.
I'm here with one mission in mind. Master the cruel yet addicting cycle of this 2020 roguelike before losing my mind. While each person's idea of mastering a game can be different, I went into this game with a few personal goals to fulfill. Complete the main story arc of Zagreus and his ambitious hope to conquer his daddy issues. This requires 10 full completions of the roguelike gameplay loop, beating the final boss 10 times. Secondly, achieve a 5-win streak of completed runs. Stay tuned for later to see how this, well, unexpectedly turned out. And finally, complete a run of heat levels 8, 16 and 32, proving I can handle the mental abuse of Hades' late game experience. Before getting into this, I will note that this isn't my first time playing Hades, as I played about 20 hours worth, almost 2 years ago now. Did I feel experienced coming into this challenge, however? No, not even remotely. But this won't stop me. I understood the basic gameplay loop and remember how each weapon functioned at its base level, but that's about where my prior knowledge ended. In saying this, I'd beaten the final boss around 5 times and knew loosely what to expect, leading to a close attempt at accomplishing this feat with only a few runs. Close wasn't good enough, as my lack of confidence in the fight and severe fear of fatherly figures apparently stood no chance, and Papa Hell himself beat the shit out of me. This quickly changed my mindset, as brute forcing my way through the story would only cause more issues later on. Instead, I focused on the long game, aiming to use only my empowered weapon of each run, as this allowed me to gather more resources such as darkness, keys and gems to help scale my power for the long run through different in-game progression systems. These can be seen through the Mirror of Night, which provides base stat upgrades for all foreseeable runs, the Contractor, who helps build some extra flair to the encounter rooms such as the treasure troves, and better weapons through use of keys to suit my playstyle. All efforts for the first 10 or so runs went pretty much as this. Grab the empowered weapon, pick any resource increasing boons from the gods, especially Poseidon's resource boosters, and experiment with each badass, quirky or straight up kinky Olympian and their sets of upgrades. Use this to get as far as possible while practicing fights for later so that I have some knowledge, and try not to blow my brains out while fighting a pair of rocks or a 9-foot bull with anger issues and his twink cousin. I hate these fights with a passion, but anyways, moving on. I will see them plenty of times throughout this video. After around 8 hours of learning, as they call it,
Keep trying vainly as often as you like.
I finally unlocked aspects for my weapons and tried the adamant rails aspect of Eris, as the playstyle and potential of weaving nuclear missiles with a Jinx minigun intrigued me. Long story short, this thing was insane, and paired with my damage over time effects, as can be seen here, and some insane Daedalus hammer upgrades, it did not take much to blast through the game
I'll just keep coming back.
and kill Dad of the underworld Hades,
Is no escape.
leading into the beginning of the story this game has to offer. I won't go into super long detail about the story in this video, but the simple breakdown is this. We play as Zagreus, also known as
impertinent brat.
Miracle son of Hades, who was brought back to life after birth by Nyx, our now foster mother and assistant. A series of daddy issues later, and Zagreus is sick of being grounded and wants to find his biological mum, Persephone, who left after believing him to be dead. This brings us to the present. After defeating Big Old Dad and sending him back to hell, we escape and finally find Persephone, doing F all in her cottage garden. only to quickly discover we are linked to the underworld and fated to always return. Whether Zagreus wants to or not, we end up there.
However long it takes.
This begins a cycle of using Olympian power to scale through Tartarus, Asphodel, and Elysium, ragebait Hades himself, and escape so we can learn little bits of info from Mummy Dearest before returning and repeating the cycle. Basically Edge of Tomorrow style.
When I return.
With only one win down though and 15 attempts done, my next step was to beat the sassy sack of shit 9 more times and somehow complete the story. So I followed the path of pick and powered weapon and worked my way through grabbing a mix of resource boons and just see how far I could make it. This didn't go as expected, however. I grabbed the empowered spear and went into Tartarus, not expecting anything special or pretty from the run. Through a mix of explosive spears and the unfair, frankly, power of Zeus, I made it back to Hades. While still inexperienced and slightly slow on the head at the moment, I still managed to get my second completion. This came as a nice feeling of improvement over the 15 scrappy beginner runs, but didn't change my original plan as I returned to the halls, grabbed the next empowered weapon, a bow this time, and began another run. Except to my surprise, either through pure luck or maybe the weird chance that I actually was getting better, don't quote me on that, I found myself back in the final boss arena. The bow was replaced by practically an AK-47, abusing the consistent damage over time effects of Ares' Doom. With the sheer greed, I managed to scrape a victory. This is where my plan of resource farming was thrown away, as I only had 2 wins away from my second goal of a 5-win streak. As I didn't expect to tackle this challenge until well after my story completion, it seemed too easy, or I guess try hard, to use my strongest weapon at the moment, which in my opinion was the aspect of Ares, and power out this goal. Instead, a new goal was formed. Win streak using every weapon once. With 6 total weapons, I had already completed runs with the Adamant Rail, Eternal Spear, and Heart-Seeking Bow, or the AK. This left the Shield of Chaos, Twin Fists of Maphalon, and original Stygian Blade. Wasting no time at all, I went full Mike Tyson on Old Grumps with the fist, then abused crazy damage over time effects again, but this time with the Blade, special slams, and a very helpful duo boon from the God of War and an Alcoholic Weirdo. Finally, I was left with the Shield, which in all honesty didn't worry me at first due to its safe and defensive playstyle. Yeah, ignore the fact I still used technically 4 Death Defiances, but we made it. The run was shoddy at best with nothing blending well, but hey, it worked, and I'm not going to complain. I'd not only beaten my original goal of a 5-win streak, but smashed it with 6 wins across all weapons in a row, as technically my first 6 wins of this journey. As much as I'd love to celebrate this, I knew that this was only the beginning, as I now had to focus on my other tasks. I knew I needed to up my game, as some of these runs came way too close to failure, and with the inevitable pain of 32 heat on its way, I knew I had to hone the playstyle or start practicing or get beaten to hell and back. Literally. I had 2 options in mind going forward that matched me while being strong in their own way. The previously mentioned aspect of Ares, for its fast and aggressive, yet frankly unsafe clearing, and the newly discovered love child of Captain America and Thor, or in this case Zeus's aspect for the Shield of Chaos, which offered a safer yet more defensive style while keeping a clear priority on enemy density. With some experience in the railgun and coming off the high of completing my last goal, I chose to take on a Heat 8. Now before I open that can of pain, let me break down heat level for those who are yet to torture themselves with this amazing yet brutal game. After defeating Hades for the first time, you unlock the Pact of Punishment at the start gate for all future runs. This menu allows you to alter different stats ranging from enemy health and damage to more severe changes such as entirely new boss mechanics and a time constraint. Each alteration adds heat, as they call it, but while lower heat levels may only include a minor damage increase and some slightly more expensive items, higher levels start to become borderline insane, with no one in the history of the game beating the highest possible heat level of 64 without the use of mods. For now, I'm limiting myself to only heat 8 as an introduction to the foreseeable pain while slowly unlocking the statues for my homeboy Skelly. With gun in hand and high hopes after my win streak and a tiny bit of an ego, I entered heat 8 with the handpicked modifiers seen here, and proceeded to get my ass beat by this lovely duo of a heroic Olympian boss fight. On the real, if I see this goddamn bull Tokyo Drift around a pillar to hit me one more time, my keyboard will be sent to the Shadow Realm. Anyways, I reset, swapped to the Frisbee of Death out of curiosity, and went on my way. Apparently, somehow, all the way to Daddy Dearest himself. Miraculously, this led to my first of 3 heat level completions. Don't be fooled, heat 8 doesn't compare even to the slightest with any heats above it, yet alone the last challenge of 32, but for now I had one more thing to get out of my way before diving deeper into that level of Pact of Punishment, and that was the main story. I quickly defeated the main man 2 more times before taking my favourite historically accurate ancient Greek gun and getting the most overpowered run rolling. Little did I know, as I walked into the boss arena for the 10th and final story completion, ready to test how absolutely overpowered and fun this build was, this bastard decided to throw up the white flag and let me pass without a fight.
Go then. Go to her.
Confessing some bullshit about love.
I loved her, yes. I loved her terribly.
This annoyed me slightly, as you could say, but was nice for the story and showing not the grumpy and somewhat closed off side of Hades, even if Zagreus remains a brat throughout this entire sequence.
You're letting me go just like that?
Leading on from this, we will enter the colourful farmyard for the final time and bring back Persephone,
I'm going to your home.
as she finally decided to reunite with her slightly off-kilt husband, and rule hell as a happy family, apparently. The story of this game, while a background element for me, personally was very pleasant and had some nice twists, but was mostly about the good writing. There's a lot I've left out of this video, especially all the epilogue and side character content after the main completion, so be sure to check it out for yourself. With that out of the way, we have now finished 2 of my 3 goals, and I was feeling a lot more confident in my ability with this game. Understanding boon synergies, kinda, and how to play most encounters to their basics. It was now time to move on to the hardest challenge, however, of the heat levels. Heat level 16. Double the last highest, but nothing compared to what's down the line. I had to be more wary this time of each enemy and relied on a half decent run with some odd mistakes here and there, but still plenty of leeway for now. In saying this, I proceeded to die to a butterfly. The next run didn't go much better, however, as a saw blade proceeded to tear me in half. Wasn't exactly raising my confidence, but thankfully, however, my 3rd run went much better as I entered the Hades fight with 4 death defiances this time and beat heat level 16. This was no time to celebrate, however. As far as I'd come and as much as I had improved from the incapable noob I was at the beginning of this video, I still had one horrific hurdle to climb. Heat level 32. Someone with hundreds of hours in this game may beat this difficulty frequently from time to time with only a little difficulty. I am not that someone, however. I am roughly 25 hours in at this point and about to get the shit beaten out of me. First mistake was throwing on whatever modifiers I thought were best. I was wrong, and realized this later on as I researched the optimal pact of punishment to practice beating this mode. Second mistake came with trusting the shield. While I used the shield to previously beat heat level 16 and had heard the crazy power of the special shield throw ability mixed with Zeus's special lightning boon, it came with one small issue: clear time. Excusing a few bad runs, frankly unfair fights, silly mistakes, and whatever the hell I got myself into here, the issue was getting good runs. I didn't have the time available to finish the Twink and Bullfight before they either forced me into aggressive plays that killed me, or just dying to the time itself. A change of approach was in order if I was to have any chance of beating this fight within the next 100 hours. The God-given miracle creation of the aspect of Eris, back at it again. This time with some research modifiers focusing on keeping enemy numbers low, clear times as short as possible, and building maximum speed and aggression style, using Zeus yet again, but this time his lightning attack boon to clear rooms instantly. Robin Hood himself and Brother Man Loney still had something to say about this, however, but didn't stop the inevitable. Stressed and mentally in pain, it was time for one final check of the Mirror of Night to see my upgrades and the final pact of punishment shown on screen, before beginning the journey through hell yet again. Big Unc Zeus gave me the perfect epic boon start and I was off. Boons weren't perfect, but the start was all I really needed, as lightning shots and homing rounds was clearly overpowered in clearing every room and encounter with plenty of time to spare. Then, here I was, one death defiance because for the first time ever I forgot to put on Tooth, which gives an extra life, and a dream to beat Dad of the Dead for the final time. And with that, I had done it. The build wasn't perfect, and the run wasn't the cleanest. The literal power of Zeus had finally beaten 32 heat, an achievement overcome by few people who have touched Hades. This game is easily the best roguelike I've ever played, and had me hooked, which is rare for me as an online multiplayer gamer. The whole vibe and style works perfectly, and while overwhelming in its initial difficulty, makes up for it in the feeling of progression and learning, even if through pain at times. This game does have way more to offer than what I've shown here, with the 100% completion and even higher heat levels that I may return to later. Hope I don't have to, but I may, on either a stream or video. But as someone with a job and family, that will have to wait. For now, my goal is complete. I've become a master of Hades. Hades 2, I will see you soon. God help me now.